Hey folks, happy Tuesday. We continue our Thanksgiving themed daily devotional, our November 16th. I am thankful, Lord, for the purity and example of Jesus. I am thankful, Lord, for the purity and example of Jesus. And it gives us two passages to read. The first one is 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I invite you to turn over there. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And Corinthians is in your New Testament. And so find that, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. Corinth was a church that Paul was started. Paul left to go start other churches, and the Corinthians sent him a couple different letters asking questions of their leader. How do we organize this? What should we do about this? This problem's come up, and Paul writes letters back to them. And it's those letters that Paul wrote back to the Corinthians that we are reading. We actually don't have the letters that the Corinthians wrote. What we have are the letters that Paul wrote to the Corinthians. And in 2 Corinthians 5:21, this is what Paul writes. For our sake, he made him, Jesus, to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. For our sake, he made him sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. And so he's talking about the work of the cross here, that Jesus takes on the sin of the world, even though he is not the doer of the sinfulness. He takes on the sinfulness of the world, so that we might be made right, whole, unified with God once again, because it's our sin that separates us from God. And so he takes that sin away from us, sort of classic theological atonement theology. So, all right, then 2 Peter chapter 2. So turn over in, just go a few, 20, 30 pages farther. You'll end up in the letter of the Peter's first letter, second letter. So we're going 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For to this you have been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example so that you should follow in his steps. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. When he was abused, he did not return abuse. When he suffered, he did not threaten, but he entrusted himself to the one who judges justly. He himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, so that free from sins we might live for righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed. For you were going astray like sheep, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. And so again, this same idea. So the one who is perfect without sin takes on our sin. But what I love about the First Peter passage is it doesn't end there. It's not like Jesus did all the work on the cross and now I'm done, right? It's very clearly First Peter is saying that he set us an example. So the example is a sin-free life. So he does this for us and then sets an example that we might walk. He reconciles us to God and then sets an example for how we can stay reconciled. And so our lives are this cycle. We fall away and turn away from God, and Jesus reconciles us, and we find Jesus as that example again to stay reconciled, and we try to do that, and we fall away, and we're reconciled again by Christ. And so it's this whole process of, as Methodists we would call it, sanctifying grace, that we're being purified, we're being sanctified day after day, this process. And so it's not just what he did on the cross, but it's that example of his life that we follow as well. I pray that this day, that part of your thankfulness is the great work that Jesus did on the cross, and the great work that he did in life to show us a way of righteousness. May that way be yours to choose today. God bless. Have a great day.